Hello, everybody. It's Raina at Garden District Bookshop, and this is Virtual Happy Hour. Thank you so much for joining me again. This is going to be fun tonight. We're going to talk to Loretta-Maria Adkins. She is the co-author of the New Orleans Bucket List, which means we get to talk about all things New Orleans, which is awesome because it's one of my favorite subjects. She is a local tour guide. She has done radio. She is an all-around NOLA expert. I'm just gonna give her that title. She's also a pussyfooter, which we will talk about what that is because that's very exciting as well. I'm just gonna click the button here and invite Loretta on the screen. Hi, Loretta.
Hi, Raina. How are you?
Very good. How are you tonight?
Good. It's nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for carrying the book in your excellent bookshop over there. I love it so much.
Yes, we have. I've put them all up here behind. I gotta learn to point. There we go. That's the right direction.
A lovely display.
Yeah, this is just for the camera. Normally, there's books over in our New Orleans section because we have, of course, tons of New Orleans books. So, let's see. How did you get started with this book? Because, anybody who's visited or anybody who lives here, especially, we all have our sort of list of.
Okay, well, it was very serendipitous. I am a local tour guide, and one of the things I love, first of all, you know it, and anyone who knows me knows that I love New Orleans in almost a very unhealthy way, if you could say that. But I love this city. I've loved it since the 80s. And one of the things I do as a tour guide after the tour, I send out a follow-up email to all the guests on the tour that has the names of the people that we talk about so they don't have to take notes. And people love that. Well, as a tour guide with the pandemic, I was out of work for a year, not telling any stories, not telling anybody about New Orleans. And a very good friend of mine, David Sloan, who lives in Key West, called me fortuitously. Yes, his name is on there. He's the D.L. Sloan. He called me January 1st, New Year's Day, and I was visiting my mom and in New Jersey. And he said, "Hey, Loretta, how would you like to do the New Orleans version of the Key West Bucket List?" David is an all-around raconteur. He's the star of stage, screen, TV. He's an author. He has several books to his credit, including How to Quit Your Job and Move to Key West and the Key West Bucket List and the Florida Keys Bucket List. So I didn't hesitate. I jumped at the chance, and it basically just turned into an extended version of the email that I sent to guests and just things that highlight the magical things that we have to do in this city. There's so many things to do. There's so much magic here, so much culture, so much art that it just all came together like magic.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Loretta, you do look festive. I love what you've got going on here. Your headpiece is wonderful.
Well, if I can talk about the book for just a second and say that it is 100 offbeat adventures in the Crescent City. There's actually 110 because there's Lanyap, which we also explain in the book. But number 47, I believe, is create an outlandish headdress. Let me just double check. Yes, create an outlandish headdress.
I'm just going to interject here too. One of the wonderful things about New Orleans is that you can become part of the magic. All you have to do is be willing to get in there, and you're like, I want a headpiece. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't sit on the sidelines and go, oh, I can't do that. How do I do it? No, jump in, get yourself some tulle, get yourself some fleur-de-lis, and put that stuff together. And I love that about New Orleans. I'm sorry. Go on.
Absolutely. Yes, that is New Orleans in a nutshell. It's the magic is made up of so many little glittery pieces and moving parts and people. And I have always been blessed to have wonderful friends and very creative friends. And this headpiece was made at a workshop with a gal named Carrie Maloney. You may have heard of her from the Traveler Broads. And I went there. I brought the happy, sad face, the drama face, but everything else was there. I paid a fee and, oh, wait, hold on. It gets better.
Did you get it to light up? Yes.
What you were saying about becoming part of the magic, though, that is so true. I have one of my dear friends, Carol Miller, who's an incredibly amazing, positive person. She is the founder of Global Free Hugs and pre-pandemic, we were hugging strangers around the world, but she came for Mardi Gras, the last Mardi Gras we had. And I took her to a parade. And I was jumping up and down when I saw the Pussyfooters, and I had her put this headdress on. And she is not the kind of a person that would have made this or would have worn it. And I can tell you, you put on a headpiece like this, you walk into the crowd, and you are instantly a part of the magic. You're transformed. And she got so many compliments. It was really, really fun to watch a first-timer's view of Mardi Gras as being a part of it. So.
That is like a kind of a magical moment I was here for 9 years before I was ever really part of any parades or anything. And then when I did my first thing, I was like, yes, okay, I'll help you. Yeah. Like they needed some help, with people carrying water bottles and stuff. This was before I joined the Pussyfooters, but I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. And then you're there and all you're doing is like holding water bottles and like helping people out, and people are there and they're like, yeah, bodyguard. I'm like, oh, this is it. You get like,
it's addictive.
Addicted, yeah, for sure. And if you've ever done anything on a stage or screen or anything before where you get this sense of that magical feeling, being a part of Mardi Gras does that same thing. You're on stage, you're walking in the parade, on stage for hours, miles.
Yes,
you earn it, but
so your legs are going to fall off.
Exactly.
But it's
worth it.
Worth
Absolutely.
Totally worth it. So I'm gonna take my headpiece off for a minute. So yeah.
So everybody, we see your comments and thank you so much. We see all of you. If anybody has any questions for me or Loretta or anything about New Orleans or whatever you got, put them in the comments and we will answer your questions.
I see Bingo, I see Chrissy, I see Will, I see Marianne. Thank you so much for coming to this today and supporting me. I appreciate it, and the book. So I want to tell you a little bit about the format of the book, because you and I can talk about Pussyfooters for hours, and we frequently do. But the format of the book is what makes it a little different. Having a bucket list is not a new idea. Everybody has a bucket list. I was not aware of how many times a day I see the phrase bucket list until I wrote the book, because now I see it everywhere. People say, City Park, yeah, that's on my bucket list. But what's unique about this book and David's formula is it's something that works because it's creative, it's funny, it's tongue-in-cheek, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it gives a lot of interesting adventures with a few different ways to go about doing them. For example, each one has a little what we call what's the deal, and it tells you about the event. So Gussie up in a Mardi Gras costume, for example. And it gives a little description of the event and where you could possibly do it. We give names and addresses. It gives a do it reason. Do it if you have a thing for satin and tiaras. Skip it if you have a thing for Satan and tiaras. See what we did there? Yeah. And local advice, go during Carnival for free king cake. And then it gives a little checkbook so you can check it off. And then it also gives a little lesser known fact down at the bottom. So each of those have that same thing going on. And David is very punny. So a lot of the do it and skip it's, he really, I would either give him credit or give him the blame for that. But
I like it though, because it tells you, sometimes you're like, oh, would I be into that? And that kind of breaks it down. That gives you like, a few words or one sentence like, okay, are you the type of person who's going to be into this? Or are you the type of person who needs to skip this? Like, that's really helpful. I think, working in the bookstore and having people coming, oh, I need a guidebook. Oh, what to do in New Orleans. That is really a helpful, just simple, quick break it down for people.
Well, I've been, as I mentioned earlier, I have been blessed with so many creative friends. I lived many years in Key West, and there are a lot of creative types there too. A lot of people call it New Orleans with palm trees. I see Owen out there. Hi, Owen and Kevin. And when I was writing the book, I just threw it out there to my friends and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm writing this book. I need like some ideas about some fun things to do. I have a lot of them, but I have friends who are tour guides. I have friends who are crew captains. I have friends who are just New Orleans people. And they gave me a lot of wonderful ideas. Libby Bellino from Lucky Bean Tours. Currently, I'm touring with Libby. And she mentioned the singing oak, which I had never known about. How can you not know about a magical oak tree that's got pentatonic wind chimes in it? Right in City Park. So another good friend of mine, Christine Miller, gave me some great ideas. And I don't know, do you know Katrina Breeze? She's the captain of the Bearded Oysters.
Yes, I know more. I know of her more than know her.
She is one of those New Orleans icons. She's the captain of the crew of Colossus. I rode an art bike in a parade with her, which is also in the book. You know, you can actually pay a fee, get on an art bike, and have the whole parade experience where you're riding and people are screaming at you like you're Elvis. We played a game one night, just throwing out ideas of things to do. And I got a lot of great ideas from a lot of different people that helped in the creation of this book. Because when you love the magic or when you see the magic, you want to be a part of the magic and you want to share the magic with other people. And so I've always been blessed with having those people around. And
I think that's what sets apart people who like love New Orleans and people who are like, nah, that weekend was good. I'll go back home now. Because if you come here and you're like, how do I be a part of that? Like, how do you feel this urge to be part of it? You're like, okay, this is your place. You know, whether you can move here right then or not, but this is your place. And if you just want to watch from the sidelines, then you're good. You can take it or leave it.
The great thing is you can be a part of it. Anybody can be a part of it. You know, you don't have to have any special skills at all. When I moved back here 4 years ago in May, I wanted to join a crew. And I had always, I started coming to New Orleans in the 80s, right? I came for Mardi Gras in, I forget whether it was 1986 or 1987. I came for Mardi Gras and I stayed for 3 years. I felt...
Exactly. You were like, I need to be a part of this, and you're just stayed.
I fell in love with the city. I always knew I would come back. Of course, she chewed me up and spit me out and said, come back when you go away for a while. But I came back. And when I came back, I always wanted to join a crew. I would be the one that was on the sideline going, yay, Pussyfooters, you got this. You girls look great. And I went through all the crews. I researched every one of them. And I finally decided on the Pussyfooters. And if you're willing to wait and you're willing to jump in there, you can become a part of the magic. And I love being in a crew.
It is so much fun. It really is.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not that hard if you're willing to work at it. I mean, it's just like anything else, right? You find the ins and you just stick with it until you get in one way or the other, and don't take no for an answer.
And
there's always a method.
Yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about what you do with the Pussyfooters and what I do? So the Pussyfooters, for the people that are watching that aren't familiar, it's a group of 100 plus women over the age of 30. So we're not, all young women. We're women of all ages, as long as you're over 30. And we are a nonprofit, so we do a lot of community service. We march and dance in Mardi Gras parades, and we do different events throughout the year. And we raise money for a lot of worthwhile charities. Girls on the Run, our main charity, Metro Centers for Community Advocacy, helps women who are getting out of domestic abuse situations, get back on their feet. And so it's really fun to be a part of serving the community in that way. And basically what we're doing is getting all glittered up and dancing. And when we march in parades or when we do events, we have an awesome support crew called the Pussy Handlers. And that Raina is a pussy handler. And I started as a pussy handler. And that was my way to see if this was something that I wanted to pursue, to become part of the crew, which I did. And it only took me a year. to join. There's a process, as you know, that's involved where you have to be nominated by a member, and then they have a raffle where all the names go in the hat, and the more nominations you get, the better your chances are of getting selected. So I got selected, and then you have what's called a mama cat, which, I think you already have somebody lined up, Christine Miller and Beverly House.
Hi, Laura.
Phyllis. Hi, Laura. Is that another one of our fabulous handlers? Oh, no, Laura. She's a Pussyfooter.
Laura,
Hi, Laura.
She got to put your glasses on.
I know. Plus, she's bringing up a very good point. The Pussyfooters are also diverse, inclusive, and body positive. Yes, we are. So.
Absolutely. And I actually, before deciding on the Pussyfooters, I actually helped out, support crew for a couple of different organizations and had fun, but when I found the Pussyfooters and really got into what the organization is and what you guys do, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the group of women for me. And so, and a handler is absolutely support crew. We walk next to the Pussyfooters while they dance, and we carry water and Band-Aids and gummy bears or whatever it is,
eyelash glue, safety pins.
Exactly. Whatever it is the Pussyfooters need, and are just there. We're just there for anything that's ready. We kind of keep the people, out of the middle of the street and go while the Pussyfooters do their thing.
Yeah, I also was really attracted by the community service part of the Pussyfooters. A lot of the crews do community service, but we are a nonprofit, and that was very appealing to me. Hi, Jennifer. And it's just, you have to put in the time, like you were mentioning earlier. People come to Mardi Gras and they see this fabulous show, this unbelievable presentation. It's magic, no doubt about it. We're working all year for that. For me to be able to march in one parade as a Pussyfooter, I have to go to 14 practices. And, we want to look good. If we're going to be out there, we're not going to just be flopping around like, stranded catfish. We want to be tight. So it's really, really great to be able to do that. And I love all the crews. And getting back to the book for a second, there's one of the parts in here, because, we are shameless self-promotion is my middle name.
I mean, that is the tie that binds this event together. So, yes.
It's the reason why we're here. And if we run out of things to say, we can always go to the book. 64, Dance with a Motley Crew. So not all crews are going to take a person off the street and put them in a parade. Some will. And there are also ways that you can dance with crews. For example, I believe the NOLA Chorus Girls have where you can pay a nominal fee and take dance classes with them at the Jazz Museum. I think they do it. I forget what they're doing, once a month or once, every other Saturday. But you can actually, even if you're not in a crew, you can be a part of a crew by just kind of wanting to be in it. And the people that are in the book, very few, nobody in the book has paid to be in the book. Excuse me one second. Sorry, I have a lot of glitter. Nobody is paid to be in the book, and most of the people that are in there don't even know that they're in there. For example, nobody on the NOLA Chorus Girls knows that they're in the book, but I did mention them because they were one of the crews that you could just buy your way in and be able to do a dance with them and make a little video and be included. There's lots of things like that we found in there, where we gave, for example, Carrie Maloney, has headdress classes. That's not something that you might be able to find yourself if you came to town, unless you knew to look for it. And if you get the book and you get these ideas of, hey, you know what, that sounds like it would be really fun, with a little advanced planning, almost every single thing in here, you couldn't do it all in one trip, obviously, but you could certainly accomplish it and check it off your bucket list. So.
Well, that's why your book is good for, obviously, if you're already here, but if you're thinking of planning a trip to New Orleans in a month, in 6, it's a good book to have now. Get it now. We'll ship it to you. again, we'll shamelessly plug that. And we will ship it to you. And then you have the time to like look at these things and say, oh my gosh, build a headdress. Okay, well, let me call ahead. Let me make an appointment. Let me do that, because that's something you really, you're able to do, but you can't just walk into that. You have to plan it a little bit in advance.
You do. And I have to say that I think the concept of this book as a babysitter for out-of-town guests, how many times have we had guests from out of town and like, where should we go? What should we do? Oh, I don't know what to do. And, you're like, hey, here, take this and, go down to Jackson Square and have some beignets and cafe au lait and read the book. And it really does give, especially if you have guests from out of town, some ideas that they're not going to get from your everyday average guidebook. Obviously people are going to go to the French Quarter. Obviously people are going to ride the streetcar. We have the tried and true things in the book as well, like ride the streetcar, but we give a little local slant about where you might want to get off and stop. And we have a lot of really offbeat adventures. And I have to tell you a funny story about St. Expedite. So I had got a rather large sum of money that was made out to a business that I no longer maintained an LLC in the state of Florida for. So I had to apply for one in the state of Louisiana. Louisiana wanted a $50 expedite fee to hurry up the process. We all know how that goes. The big easy.
$50 for anything you need to do downtown City Hall. Oh, that's $50. You go to the next floor, that's $50. Yeah.
Well, it was $125 to file for the LLC, but it was $50 if I wanted to get it quickly. So that was $175. So I didn't file for that. And I was down on St. Claude in the NOLA Healing Center on St. Claude, going to the co-op. And I went into the Botanica there, the Island of Salvation, I believe is the name of it. I went in there and I said, hey, listen, I got this legal thing. I need it to speed it up. What do you got? She goes, well, I can get you a St. Expedite candle. And it was the funniest thing because the book had just come out and I had forgotten completely about it. But one of the items in the book was Meet St. Expedite. And it had, go to the island of Botanica, Island of Salvation, Botanica, get a St. Expedite candle and speed up a legal matter. And then, of course, it says, make sure you leave an offering for pound cake once the deed is done. So I got the candle, had it dressed, $5, went home. Within 24 hours, I had my LLC. And I got a pound cake at the Circle Food Store, Sara Lee. That's what St. Expedite likes, $3.99. So for $8.99, I saved $41.
I love it. I love this math. This is New Orleans math if I've ever heard. It's great.
That is probably one of the most New Orleans stories I think I've ever told. And then when I was in there to all of a sudden remember, I wrote that,
You're like just following your own advice. It's good. Did you tell them? Did you tell them that they were in the book?
I did, because I was sitting there like, it was one of those weird out of body experiences where you're like, oh yeah, right. I wrote that, didn't I? Here it is. It's in here. It was almost like reading somebody else's words for a minute. I'm like, yeah, look, I forgot it. You're in the book. She's like, wow, that's really cool. She was not quite as impressed as one might have thought she would be, but anyway, so.
That's not as uncommon as you might think, because when people write books and then almost forget what's in them, because it's a long time between when you write this down and then when it gets published, and then you're out talking about it to people and you're like, oh, did I write that? But they just read it. The person you're talking to read it like last week, and you're like, I haven't reread that in months. Who knows? Let's see. Let's learn together.
Yeah. St. Expedite, I believe I think I even remember the number. I think it's number 51, but I'd have to check. No, it's not. But anyway. Oh yeah, it's number 50.
Save for a traditional po' boy, which is also good.
Yeah. Meet St. Expedite is number 50. And St. Expedite, for those of you who are not in New Orleans, by the way, hi Jennifer, hi Melody. Those of you who aren't in New Orleans, there are different versions of the St. Expedite story, but the general gist of it is that he was a Roman soldier that converted to Christianity somewhere along the line. Or you could believe that the Sicilian nuns found a box on the dock that said expedite At any rate, he is in a church, the oldest continuously operating church, which I'm having a brain cramp right now, but it's right there on the corner of Basin Street. It'll come to me in a minute if I don't think about it. But he's actually in this church. It used to be called the Mortuary Chapel, and now it is Our Lady of Guadalupe, right there on Basin Street. So you can go in, and if you go in the church and look to your right, it's right. He's right there. The real Saint Expedite, a statue of him anyway.
There you go.
So we have a question.
All right, Chris. Yes. Does a handler have to be local? No. And if not, how long of a vacation would one need to take? Well, so you might, I mean, you'd probably know, we can confer on this, because I've been a pussy handler for 2 years, but then last year we didn't do anything. So, and you were a handler 4 or 5 years ago for a year. So,
yeah. If you know somebody in the crew and you have somebody that can vouch for you, kind of thing, or you can meet some people. I had a good friend of mine who came down here and house sat, and she actually was what we call a guest handler for the Pride Parade when we needed a couple of extra handlers. And you know, there is training that's involved for handlers, but it can be expedited if you get a candle. You can speed it up and go through some things. You know, the basics is walk the line, get the water, do this. So it's not impossible. You know, just give us a little advance notice, Chrissy from NYC, and we'll see what we can do. If hopefully we'll get back to having events.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Yes, that would be really
I mean,
nice.
the shortest amount of time is a day, 2 days, 3 days, you know, whatever your time is around your parade. But it's more fun if you can come for a little longer, and that way you get to hang out, maybe do multiple parades, you know. But
Sure.
the training itself is minimal. And like Loretta said, like, especially if you know somebody and they can say, okay, look, she can clearly carry water. Like, I know this person will show up and be able to walk X amount of miles. And that's, you know, that's a big piece of it.
That's a big piece of it. Just kind of being dependable, you know, in other words, not getting completely hammered pre-parade so that, you know, when the Pussyfooters are needing water, you're like, oh, ah! Yeah. But, you know, everybody likes to have a good time. Everyone likes to have a good time. And as a handler, the parades are fun, really fun too. I love the parades that aren't Mardi Gras parades, like Decadence, one of my favorites. The Pride Parade, the Crew of Boo, and of course the Christmas Parade, which we can only hope that we have that this year.
I know. Yeah. It's still, we're in that sort of like wait period where, you know, I mean, everybody is with everything, but like Mardi Gras, again, we're sort of resetting that waiting period we did last year. You know, we're in this, and then the end of the summer, we're like, okay, is it happening? Is it not happening? Is it happening? Is it not happening? You know, eventually it's like, it's not happening. And fingers crossed, you know.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
That we get to do.
Well, last year we had Floats in the Oaks, which was, it was fun. You know, it wasn't quite, it was, I guess, what we're calling a reverse parade, where we all stood in place and danced, and then the cars drove by us, which is the opposite. And the floats were in City Park, set up in the beautiful Live Oak. So I think when you're part of a crew, you just really want to put on makeup, and you really want to dance, and you really want to get out there. So it was fun to do it. But I'm really looking forward to getting back to when we can do it again. For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so when you were doing sort of research for the book, I mean, this is going to be a typical question for you, but what's like your favorite, what's your favorite thing?
Well,
maybe to research or to do in the book?
I love to eat.
One of your favorite.
Yeah, one thing that is kind of hard to say, but I do love to eat, and I really love walk the dogs at Villa Lobos. Okay, that's something that not a lot of people know about, but I am a huge dog nut. and it says on my business card, petter of dogs. So I really love dogs a lot. I have a foster dog who I can't really introduce you to her at the moment because if I give her any attention at all, I won't be able to get rid of her. She's over here. She's available for adoption through pet adoption services. Her name is Sweet Pea, but she's very needy and she loves attention. So if I wake her up, she's going to be stuck to me and we won't be able to continue with the interview. But walk the dogs at Villa Lobos. Villa Lobos is a pit bull rescue that has have you heard of them, Raina?
I have, because I rescued both my cats, so not pit bull rescue, but when I was out, like, rescue places, I came upon them, and I love that they specialize in pit bulls, and pit bulls get a bad rap.
They get a bad rap.
A dog is, how it's treated, just like anybody else. If, you're treated bad, then you're probably going to be not very nice, like it takes a lot to get over, and dogs are the same way, but they do an amazing job, just loving them and rehabilitating ones that have not been loved as much in the as
they have the TV show, which is I don't have cable TV, so I don't actually get to watch it any longer, but I've seen it before. And you can go to the rescue, and they were doing tours. I'm not sure if they're doing tours anymore, but they are doing dog walks where you can go 4 times a day and walk the dogs around. And it's great for the dogs. It gets them out. And it's just a fun way to volunteer. It's a way to hang out with dogs if you're the kind of person that's a real dog lover. I know whenever I used to go on vacation and didn't have my dog with me, I was actively seeking out the company of other people's dogs. I mean, it's what I do. And when I moved back to New Orleans in 2017, I moved back to open something called a Bark and Breakfast. It's a bed and breakfast that has adoptable dogs living in it. I don't know if I ever told you that. So
you did not, but I love this.
Yeah, I worked on it for 3 years. I always knew I was coming back here one way or another. And I worked on it for 3 years. And when I moved back, I opened it. And it was just, I had a 3-bedroom house that had a 1-bedroom suite. And I partnered up with a rescue, pet adoption services. And I had my dog was there and one foster dog at a time. And even though the guests didn't necessarily adopt the dogs all the time, it was a wonderful way to socialize the fosters. And there was one guest that actually did adopt a dog named Capers. And she is an across the road, over the road trucker. And she's a very slender, small woman. And Capers is a little tiny black dog. And these two are quite a pair. I can only imagine when they pull up in the truck stop and these two get out, it must be quite a sight. But yeah, so that was what brought me back to New Orleans. And in researching the book, of course, who knows, maybe I'll write a dog bucket list. But
that would be good. A bucket list for like pet lovers or if you're traveling with your pet.
Sure.
There's an idea.
There's a lot of dog people in the world, a lot. I love all animals too. But that's one thing, you can go if you're on vacation and you want to try something, you can go walk the dogs at Villa Lobos and you're helping. So how can you beat that? Spending time in the company of a dog. That's one of my favorite things in the book. But each and every one of them, and I'm not going to say that I've done them all. I've done almost all of them. I no longer drink alcohol, so I did not try the Sazerac recipe.
The recipe.
At the Sazerac Museum, but it was still a fascinating adventure, even without the actual drinking. But I do want to give a big cheers to everybody because this is supposed to be happy hour, right?
Yeah.
Cheers. All right. I got a little sparkling pink lemonade here.
You know what? So I was doing virtual happy hour at home because we weren't out into the store as much. And that was easy. I just went into my kitchen. I poured a little alcohol in whatever it was I had in the refrigerator. No big deal. I've got my drink. Okay, well, I've done the last 3 or 4 from the bookstore now. What am I going to... I need to bring like a bottle of vodka and put it in the back because this is just tea. Because I keep forgetting in the morning, like I'm not bringing my I've got my light, I've got, you know, my notepad, I've got my copy of the book, but I don't remember to bring the bottle of vodka with me, or I need to
You'll have to
work on that, because my last 3 happy hours have been just like tea and coffee.
Well, that's not entirely bad. One thing I will tell you about New Orleans is we have so many great mixologists here. I have gone into many bars, and of course, one of the most famous ones in the New Orleans bucket list is the Carousel Bar at the Monteleone. Everybody's heard about that. You can't do a bucket list book about New Orleans without having that in, because it's just such an iconic place. And if you go in there and you ask for a mocktail, they're not just giving you a Shirley Temple. I have had some of the most elaborate, delicious mocktails ever in the city of New Orleans. I mean, these bartenders, they take their job seriously. They are not just mixing up a Coke and putting a cherry in it. They're really taking it seriously. I've had lavender lemonades with rock sugar on the top and just delicious, delicious drinks here. So, yeah, that's another one. Drink at 360
absolutely
at the Carousel Bar. And lots of really, really fun things in here to do.
You know, one of the things that you add in your book in a couple of different places that I really love, and you don't think about it a lot of times when you're on vacation, or even as a local, you picking up food from one of these like the grocery, a central grocery, like a muffaletta, or getting your beignets, and then you look around and go, okay, well, where do I sit? Right? I've seen them do this. I've seen tourists do this. Like, oh, we could order from here, but there's no food, like Verdi Mart or something. And they order and they're like, now what do I do? Where do I go? Just walk over to the river. You put this in your book. I can't remember which one you talk about. Just walk over and just have a seat, like right on the river. It's like 2 blocks, 3 blocks, wherever, you know, you're walking from. And like, you don't think, as a tourist, you might not even know it's there. And so then you don't go to these places. Or as a local, especially like the transplant, you don't think of it. If you're not from like a really walkable city, you don't think, well, take a walk and see if I find somewhere. But so I've had some of the best experiences grabbing food from places that don't even have tables, or only have a couple tables, and then just walking over to Washington Park, Crescent City Park, not Washington Square Park too. You can walk there too in the Marigny. But over to Crescent Park, over to the river, and it's beautiful. Have a seat on a bench, on the ground, whatever, and eat your food.
Well, they have the river now, has been all done over with the beautiful river walk, and there are benches all along the Mississippi. And David, I'm pretty sure it was his title, because we went back and forth with the editing quite a bit, and, you know, just tweaking it, making it funny. He has a wonderful sense of humor, and you can really read that in the book. Munch a muffaletta on the Mississippi. And it's real easy to grab a muffaletta at Central Grocery, walk literally across the street, through the flood wall, up, and then just sit there. And I have several things in there that involve the river, because to me, it's, first of all, the reason why the city of New Orleans exists in the first place, but it's also just such a magical, powerful place, and so peaceful and strong and zen. And just to sit there and have a sandwich, or do some yoga, or read a book, or just people watch. There is no greater city in the world, and I've been around the block, than New Orleans for people watching. I mean, we have everything here, everything and everyone. It's just amazing. And, you know, put that with the river, and you sit there. I could sit at the river all day. Honestly, if I could find a way to just do tours where I just sat at the river, I would probably have that as a job. So
I didn't know until I moved here how calming it is to sit on the river and just watch the big ships go by. Like, do nothing but just watch them. And it'll take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on, you know, the size of the ship and how fast they're going, whatever. And just watch it go by. And it is so relaxing to do that.
And you can ride your bike up there, and you can go up there and meditate. It's very meditative. And I always if I'm doing a French Quarter tour and I'm able, start the tour off at the Mississippi, because just when you look at the sheer scope of it and realize how far up it goes, and that you're 90 miles to the Gulf of Mexico and how deep it is, it's just really incredible there. And the ships, that it's an optical illusion. They always look like they're going to hit that bridge. And the people are like, oh my God, that ship looks like it's going to hit the bridge. I say, don't worry, it's not going to hit the bridge. But I bet you that's what that guy in the Suez Canal said.
Yeah,
you never get stuck.
I could not believe it. You know, we have books right now that we ordered, but they haven't come in yet because they weren't on that ship, but like something having to do with that ship, they got blocked and they haven't made it here yet. We're like, oh, okay. And they literally said that, like, you know, that Suez Canal thing that was like in the email. And we're like, oh, okay. I guess we'll just wait.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess 99 million times out of 100 million, everything's okay. But I do love the river, and that figures prominently in the book. And I had a wonderful time really researching all of the things in the book, because not only some things I know like the back of my hand, but to be able to give the do's and the skips and the little local advice. You know, sure, stroll Tulane campus, but where are you going to get lunch up there? Aha. How about a crepe? You'll have to buy the book. You know, we have little secrets in there. I can't tell if you've frozen. We were having some technical difficulties, and I did promise Raina that if she froze, I would just talk incessantly about things until she got back. So here we are. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in northern New Jersey. As I mentioned, I came here in the 80s for Mardi Gras, and I stayed for 3 years. Raina, right now, she's picking up her computer. She's going out to the atrium, and she's going to connect to another Wi-Fi. We're prepared for this. I've been in 49 states and several countries, and I love traveling. I love people, and I love animals. And here we are.
Yay! I'm back. Awesome. Good.
Yeah. Now they know my whole life story.
Well, Brooklyn, New York. That's what I heard, and then I was not here. But it's good to have you.
Yeah, I traveled a lot. I love traveling, but I can tell you that I have always felt this feeling in New Orleans, and I always knew that I was going to end up here. And sometimes when I'm riding my bike in the French Quarter, I see people standing outside of a hotel with their suitcase, and they're waiting for their Uber or their cab to come. And I see the look on their face, and I remember that feeling of having to leave, that agony, like your soul is being ripped from your body. When I had to leave, I just couldn't bear it any longer. And ever since I have been back, every day I get up, it sounds stupid to say it. It sounds partially insane, I suppose. But I hop on my bike and I ride down Esplanade under that canopy of live oaks, and I catch whiffs of the Confederate jasmine or the gardenia bushes that are just like, the gardenias are dripping off of the bushes. And I just am filled with this sense of wonder on a daily basis when I'm out in the city. It never gets old to me. The magic is everywhere here. I see it everywhere I go, in the faces of the people. I just really, really love it. And I'm so glad I don't have to be those people that have that feeling of having to get on the plane and leave and not know when they're going to be back. So,
yeah. I didn't know I loved New Orleans as much as I do until I left the first time. So I've been here about 15 years now. And yes, 16 years now. And I was here for like a year or so, and then I went back to Florida, where I'm from, for an extended stay. I was able to stay for like a month or so. And up to that point, I was like, I don't know. I don't like New Orleans. It's a big city. I'm not sure. And then I went home, and in about a week, like I just came out of my mouth. and then I went, oh, that's it. Like I miss that. I miss New Orleans in a way I didn't miss home. I miss the people at home. I miss my mom, miss my sister.
Sure.
Don't miss the place.
Yeah.
And then I realized I miss New Orleans, like this, and I'm good. I don't have any. I will die here.
Yeah, it's something that you either feel or you don't feel. I can't explain it to people. I mean, my job, I think of my job every day when I do a tour as helping people fall in love with the city of New Orleans. That's my goal at the end of the tour is for them to be able to see what I see when I look around. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. I mean, not everybody feels it. When I wasn't living here, I spent over 20 years in Key West. Key West doesn't suck. It's fabulous. But still, when I was leaving here, and I was back and forth here all the time. I came every year for Jazz Fest. I came a lot when I was working on the Bark and Breakfast. When I would leave here, it was like I was going to the guillotine. I'm going back to a tropical island. I loved my life there. It was just, there's something about it here that when, I guess John Goodman it's probably the closest that I've heard, and it doesn't really sum it up, but about your certain people whose DNA strands get completed when they move here. Have you heard that quote?
Yes, I have. I don't know the whole thing off the top of my head, but yeah, if you type in like John Goodman New Orleans quote, that's probably going to come up first thing.
Right. And I've checked everywhere. I've been to 49 states. I've been to many, many countries. I started my travel company in 2009, and I take groups around the world. Our last trip, we had 20 people in Morocco in 2018 before the bottom fell out. But everywhere has its treasures. But I've never been anywhere that has the same kind of magic that New Orleans has. I'm talking major capitals, Paris, Rome, Vienna. But New Orleans has something special. Something's going on over here.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you, what's your one state you're missing? Because I'm only missing... Oh, really? I'm missing Alaska.
Yeah. Well, I spent 4 summers in Alaska, but I haven't made it to Hawaii. I don't know why. When I was on the West Coast, I should have just got there. One day I will. But.
Oh, yeah. When everything opens back up, people think that it's incredibly expensive, and it can be incredibly expensive. Don't get me wrong. But like, if you're a little bit flexible, you can find flights and you can find a place to stay. And then it's all just about, what you want to do on top of that. That's an okay price. I've been to Hawaii 3 times, and it's the only place I've been that is exactly like the postcard.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, and I'm sure I would love it. It's just, I spent quite a few years in Key West on a tropical island. So when I was wanting to go somewhere, I was having kind of like big city museum dreams, where a lot of people who live up north, they have tropical island dreams. And so it's a beautiful world. There's a lot going on everywhere. There's something. Sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper, but I think we might have lost Raina again. So dig a little deeper. Hi, Bingo. Hi, Chrissy. Yes, I see. Somebody had, Hope is a neighborhood dog neck scratcher. I like that. I love dogs a lot. If anybody's looking to adopt a dog, I highly recommend my foster, Sweet Pea. I lost my personal dog last year in August. His name was Scrunchy. We had 13 great years together, and he was a huge help with the fosters. But now I have to do all the work on my own. So, and I would like to get another dog of my own, but I am enjoying the freedom of not being tied down to a dog at the moment. So, are you back with me, Raina?
Am I back? I can hear and see me. Can you hear and see me?
I can now, but you went away for a minute.
Yeah, I just disappeared. I'm not sure what's happening with the internet. We're supposed to have amazing fiber here at the bookstore, but it is not happy today. Maybe it has to do with a bunch of those storms. We had bad storms last night, and then again still this morning. I had to pull my car into the garage because the street was filling up with water.
Yeah,
here.
Crazy.
So we're gonna blame it on the storms that happened earlier in the day.
That sounds good. And that reminds me of something about New Orleans, is that There's a lot of things here that are not necessarily great, right? We are maybe last in the United States in several different categories, like recycling. I mean, there are big potholes. It takes a long time to get anything done down here, but the magic more than makes up for, in my opinion, the downside. And I think it's that contrast, and you just have to be willing. It's just worth it living here. You know, when you live in a city that they drag 93,000 pounds of Mardi Gras beads out of the storm drain, what can you really say about that? Happy that we had 93,000 pounds of beads. Maybe we could be more environmentally sustainable. I don't know. It's still, we had one hell of a party. And yeah, so, well, we flooded because of it. Whoops.
Yeah. I think you take for granted there's a saying, and I can't think of what it is right now, but you know, part of the negative things is what makes New Orleans gives it its charm. I mean, if we didn't have these things we can all complain about the potholes, you know, the context. So we can all complain about the potholes, and we're all like living in the same, like, sort of these shared experiences that you don't have other places. If everything is running really smoothly, I mean, this is the truth just in life. If everything is running incredibly smoothly, after a while you're like, what have we done? Like, what did we share? We didn't have to work through anything together. You know, when all of our power goes out, and then we all have to even though we're all complaining together, we're all complaining together on the same thing.
It brings people together. And, you know, a friend of mine wrote something that I found very eloquent, that I've been using it on the tour occasionally when I talk about New Orleans, is that New Orleans inhales despair and sorrow and crisis and trauma, and exhales it as art and music and culture. And there's something to be said for the dark and the light. And there's a line in a Tom Waits song that I like a lot. If I exercise my devils, all my angels may leave too. And when I leave, they're so hard to find. So New Orleans has a lot of devils, but boy, oh boy, does it have a lot of angels in every way, literal, figurative, every kind of way. So it's really a wonderful place to live. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to grateful to David that he gave me the opportunity to write the New Orleans version of his bucket list book. And it just really has been such a wonderful journey to be living in New Orleans and to be able to share my love of New Orleans with our visitors, and now in yet another way, besides just doing tours or just telling my friends about it or just posting pictures of caterpillars. I get to share it in a whole new way to people who can read and kind of see the magic, see what I see. That's always my goal. And I hope that people will, who, when they buy the book, that they will experience just a little bit of that magic, maybe a whole lot. So that's my wish.
Well, and I think that is what your book is going to do. That's what your book is going to do. And your book is going to open the door for people to have some of these experiences for themselves, because it's going to give them an idea of what to do. And like, even as a local, like, we'll go back to like the headdress conversation from earlier, is that like, I didn't know that. I don't know where to go to get help if I wanted to build a headdress for myself, even as a local, you know, and that gives me something. Somebody
and you'd be surprised how many headdress classes there are. I mean, with the pandemic now, there have been less, but when I was looking for them, I found lots of them. I'm like, wow, I love that I live in a city that has 6 or 7 headdress people teaching people how to make headdresses for Mother's Day, for Easter, just for the hell of it. This one was for Mardi Gras. As you can see, it's got Mardi Gras colors, and makes me feel fabulous when I put it on.
And you look fabulous.
Thank you so much, Rena.
Okay.
Yeah. I really appreciate not only you having me on, but also carrying my book there. The Garden District is just a beautiful spot, and it's a wonderful bookshop. If you haven't been up there, hi, Carol. Hi, Anne. Hi, Deborah. If you haven't checked out the bookshop, you've got a great selection a very eclectic mix of books up there, by the way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, and so we have Loretta's book signed copies. There's a little sticker on these back here. You can see signed copies of Loretta's book on our shelves. You can give us a call and we ship worldwide. It wasn't coming up on our website. My internet is crappy at the moment, so I'm not even going to open another tab to like attempt to look that up at the moment. Maybe I was just typing something in wrong earlier. So check it out on our website. If you don't see it there, definitely give us a call or stop in.
Yeah.
We can ship it to you anywhere, or we can ship it to your friends. We will always have signed copies because Loretta's here, so she'll bring us more signed
I do, and you're freezing up a little bit, so I'm not sure.
Are you still there? I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, you're freezing up a little bit. I have a car now, so for my first 3.5 years here, I only had a bike, but I have a car now, so I can deliver as many books as you need, Raina. So do not worry. Come rain or come shine.
All right, I'm gonna.
It looks like she disappeared again, but as she mentioned, she was having trouble with the internet, as we talked about. If you live in New Orleans, you have to take the good with the bad. Unfortunately, fast internet service is not always, yeah.
Am I back? One last time.
You're back.
Hey! Okay, Loretta, I am so happy that you joined me. Thank you so much for joining me for Virtual Happy Hour.
Thank you so much for having me.
Filling in the gaps when I was gone. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us, for commenting, for asking questions. We appreciate it. And you know where to get the book.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you to everybody who helped on the book. And I really appreciate having the opportunity to shout New Orleans praises from the rooftops in yet another way. So I appreciate everyone. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Bye, Raina.
Good night. Bye. Good night, everybody.